Mishnah tells us on the base, if one had slaughtered a chayiv oaf on Yom Tiv, so it requires kisi adam. The Shammai says, Yach b'dek v'yichasa, you're permitted to take a spade, dig, and cover the earth. The Hillel says, lo yishchot, you're not permitted to slaughter. However, they say, however, if he did slaughter, Yach b'dek, so now it starts off. The connotation of shochet, the evidence, lo. It's post facto. If you had slaughtered, ema seifa, Beisil omrim, lo yishchot. Beisil says, you're not permitted to slaughter. Mechal tanakav sav yishchot. That you can. L'chatchila, holo kasha, lo yishchot v'yichase komar. You shouldn't slaughter it to cover it. That's what lo yishchot v'yichase komar. Ema seifa modim. You shouldn't cover it. Ema seifa modim shim shochat shiach b'dech v'yichase. But it says in the Sefer, the Mishnah concludes that if you did slaughter, you dig with the spade and you cover. Even Beisil agrees to this. Bechal de Reisha Lav did the Everu, but yet it says Hashochet. Shochet means if he already had slaughtered. Omer Abahochi Kama Hashochet Shebo Limolach. A person comes to consult. A shochet who comes to consult with Bezdin. Ketzad Omalo. What do you tell the person? So shochet doesn't mean a shochet means in the verb. A person, the shochet, he's going to. No, not teaching. He's a ritual slaughterer. Go stay Shaila.
So the answer.
No. What does the word shochet mean? Is it a verb or is it a noun?
Okay, good.
Right? It's a noun.
The person.
The person. Go stay Shaila and Bezdin. Right? Shabali Mulach. Ketzad. What should he omalo? Beishamay omrim. What do you tell him? Beishamay omrim. Shchot v'chapor v'chasei. You're permitted. L'chatchila. Beisil omrim lo yishchot. Elim ken oilo ofa muchan bojum. Unless he had earth prepared from before Yom Tiv, you tell him he's not permitted to slaughter. Rav Yosef Omar, Rav Yosef says, that's a rabbi. Hochi Omar, shochet sheboli molach. Again, shochet is a noun, it's not a verb. Ketzad Omar lo, Beishame omrim lo, le chafor ushchot. Go dig, and you're permitted. Silo omrim lo, yishchot ken oilo ofa muchan bojum. Amalei Abaylo Rav Yosef, Leba Mav Ravo, Reb Zera, Omarav Kamif Lagisu. So what are they saying differently? Seemingly Rav Yosef Hocha Hashochish Mali Molech, right? Ketzad Omerlo. What do you tell him? Shamar Milo Lech Chafor Ushchot. You tell him to go dig. Right. He says dig and then you shecht afterwards. Bisomer Lo Yishchot Ken Hoylo Elfo Muchan Bojom. Tell you something in a minute. Amalei Abaylo, Lema Mar, Rav Yosef, Rabo. I said Rav Yosef is Rebbe, they both is Rabbeim. But seemingly you're wrong with Rav Zera. Omer Rav Kamifli. So Omer Rav Zera, Omer Rav, Hashochet Tzorch Shitain Ofa Lamato, Ofa Lamailo. You have to put earth under the blood and on top of it. So what would be if he would shecht first? This comes out the undercoating you don't have. You have to have an undercoating, overcoating. Shenema V'shovach Ezdomo V'chiseu Be'ofer. Be, inside the earth. Offer lo nemer elabel from lam sheshochet tzarich shitin offer lamato. You have to have an undercoating of earth. Offer lamalo.
It's on the ground.
No, if it has to be granulated,
Ground.
right? If it's hard, it's not good. Demar islay de Reb Zero. So according to what's his name, according to what he says, chafor v'shchot, he holds like Reb Zero, v'rabba leslay de Reb Zero. So therefore he told Mishchot, you just have to have an overcoating, not an undercoating. Omar Leis, he answered him no. That's what Abai said to Rav Yosef. Seemingly that's the why you tell the person first to dig and then slaughter. That's the machlokes. And Rabba said no, Shchot. Only Bein Lo Rabba, Isla and Reb Zeh both agree. Then when you slaughter, you have to have an undercoating of earth. Rabba Savi Ika for the Mato Ein, Ilolo. If there's earth underneath, then we allow him to slaughter. Lo chashin dil mimlach v'lo shochat. Right? We're not concerned that what, if he asks, he's not going to slaughter. Udidi, adrabo, ho adifa, di lo shoris lei. Hadifa lei. The hadifa, di lo shoris lei. Oslam nubisim pas yomtiv. Yeah. Where is it? There we go. We both are Reb Zera. Bina and Ofer Lamato. We both agree. Both Yomer Rabbo. Im Yichol Lom Lo Shchot Miyad Sheish Lo Kvar Ofer Lamat Sharinen. And Beinot Im Onut Shrichim Lom Lo Chafor Tchilo. Not, we will not permit it. That's what Rabba holds. But everybody agrees. Why Dimlach Chafiro Mimlach Lo Shochit? Because what may be? Because maybe after he digs the undercoating, he's not Div Shchito. So he's digging for no reason. Nevertheless, Rav Yosef's no hadifat lo sigzo hochi. Right? We don't make such example. We prefer. We're not concerned for that chance. We're not going to prevent Simchas Yom Tov. So therefore, we tell him chafor, shchot the chafor. Right? So we tell him to dig because we're not concerned. At the end, it may turn out that he may not slaughter. May change his mind. Everything good, Albert?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So just clarification. He has to prepare the dirt first.
He has to prepare the dirt first because when he slaughters, it has to fall on granulated earth.
Right. So he's preparing it. He chefs.
How does he prepare it? By digging.
Right.
He's digging on Yom Tov. I mean, the Gemara is going to ask the question in a moment. How's he permitted to dig?
Well,
right.
Aside from that, but always just the procedure. So he has to dig first, put the
undercoating.
Then he chefs and then he covers it. Right? That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
So what's the machlokas Rabbi Rav Yosef? Are we concerned? Do we allow him to dig if he hasn't yet slaughtered?
Right. So
right. Rabbi's concerned he may change his mind. So it comes out the digging was for no reason. Rav Yosef says we're not concerned. Everybody, even Beis Hillel agrees. If he did slaughter,
then he can.
He's permitted to dig with the spade and cover. It's speaking where the spade already was inserted in the earth from before Yom Tov. Why? Because it's a question of muktzah. If the spade already is in the pile of dirt, so it comes out, the spade is a designation that earth is meant to what? To be used for covering. Okay? Even if you have the spade there, but when you take the spade out, you have clumps of earth, so you're granulating the earth, it's a Torah violation. Ksisha is not permitted for Ochel Nefesh, even Yom Tov. Right? It's not one of the blocks that are permitted. Rashi. If you say that you have to have the spade in the earth, it's not that the assay of the mitzvah of covering the blood supersedes the melacha of doing melacha. Because it would, then you don't have to have the spade there. The answer is, it's already dug up. It's dug up, and you have to have the spade there, right? So in terms of bona, when you dig the hole, what are you creating? You're creating a hole, right? So if you have putting the spade in, you're digging. You have to have the spade in there. It's already chopped up. The wood, it's already, but still you have clumps of earth. Even though it's dug up, you still have clumps of earth. If you think it's just a clump of earth and just put it on the blood, right? It's not valid. It has to be granulated, that it's covering it with the earth. Putting a clump of earth is not sufficient. The kosish told it the tochinu. It's a derivative of tochein. Right? Right? We're speaking about it's granulated. It's pre-granulated. Okay? But he's making a guma. Okay? He's making a hole. So Rasha Chayv Mishum Binyan can Rababa. Domer Rababa Chofet Gum B'Shabbos and Yitzor Kalafra Poto Aleo. It's a Mokshen Tzricha L'Gufa. Speaking about he doesn't need the hole. That if you dig the hole on Shabbos and you don't need you're only doing it for the earth, but you don't need the hole, you're not in violation. So really, it's not. There's no asay dochalosa say. If you asay dochalosa say, the Gemara says, then you can even take the spade and put it directly in the ground. So that was the Gemara's question. If the asay is not sufficient to supersede the los asay, so we have the new problem. So what about ksisho? It said avatichuach. Right, it's granulated. Right, 1 second. So Tosa says, if it's avatichuach, what's possible to have What's possible to have a guma? You go to the beach and you take out a shovel of sand. What happens? The moment you take it, new sand just shifts into its place. That's Tosas Kasha. Someone says, but you make a guma. What kind of guma you make? So Tosas says it's not speaking like you're on the beach. We're speaking that you have a pit filled with sand. A pit, regular earth, filled with beach sand. So what happens when you take it out? Now you're creating a hole. Because by removing it, right, now it's further down. That's the Gemara's question. If it would all be just beach sand, the Gemara would never ask a question. You're making a hole. There's no hole, because the moment you take sand, new sand shifts into its location. So it says, right? The Rabbi Omar Gzer Shem Yosef Ofim Komo, my Bina, you can be now Ofim Tichuach. So Gemara says, what's the halachic difference if there's a question of you don't put the egg in sand? One says, of course, where you may put it into hot ash, we're talking hot sand. The other is, of course, you may move the sand. Ofim Tichuach Pirush Mandi B'Sheyam Rab Equal Migzar. If you want to put it into hot sand, hot beach sand, right? So a person says, if you let to cook the egg, because we all told us Chama, we hold if you cook in the sun, you're not in violation of cooking. So why can't you put it into the hot sand? What?
Specifically, you're doing something you cook it on.
Right, so it's permitted.
Yeah.
So why don't we allow rabbinically? Because you may put it into hot ash. People say, if I can put it into hot sand, why can't I put it into hot ash? But hot ash is a derivative of fire. It's not a derivative of the sun, right? So that's one. The other opinion says, because you may move the muktzah. But if you have ofet tichuach, it's not a problem. Over there was about the whole area was all beach sand, granulated. And the moment you pull the egg out of the sand, immediately shifts into its location. The earth around where the granulated sand is hard earth. And you have the granulated earth, sand in the middle. So what in Keik Shemagdia, the Keresaguma. So when you remove the decker, you remove the spade, you're creating a hole. And that Gemara says that it's only Asum Drabonim. But we have a problem. So why is it permitted? So Tosa says, Ochel Nefesh, that's the overriding factor. And this is the right, so we don't say Ochel say, which Gemara Chesam and Bey says. Right? But what about over here? You're doing Lochshet Gufa, right? You're not permitted to dig a hole even where you're not interested in the hole. Right? The answer is, Ochel Nefesh is an overriding factor. It's not Makalka. It's not Makalka. Even Makalka will be Osam Drabon. You're not letting me Makalka. It's also Osam Drabon. What, you're not letting me Makalka? Makalka, you're not permitted. Let's take a look at Taisus. Bishum da Mnokshin to remove a potter lev a tame and came potter avalosel chatchila Taisus. One second. It's not Turin, Potter, you know, it's also. Even Lochshet Gufa, Taman came Potter Avalosel, Chatchila, Shlom, Simchas Yom Tiv, Mutter, Afil Chatchila. Yeah, the Simchas Yom Tiv is the overriding factor. The term became normally Decker notes, right? So what do we need? Decker notes, right? Shlomar, Mikomokom, Bino, Shemuchan, Me'erev Yom Tiv. Yeah, this. When you put the spade in there, the amount of earth that's associated with spade, that's considered you've pre-designated it. Otherwise, you're dealing with muktzah. That's Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says we allow them to dig, even put the spade in there. Right? You don't need a deck of notes. Beis Hillel says, no, if you have a deck of notes, if the spade already inserted in the granulated earth, we allow him to remove it.
Granulated.
Only granulated. Otherwise, we're dealing with you're either creating, you're actually pulverizing the earth. You're grinding. You're not permitted to grind. Even Beis Shammai would agree to that. But Beis Shammai says you don't need the deck of notes. You don't have to have the spade in it. Of course, Beishamai doesn't hold of muktzah, right? That's like the egg that's laid on Yom Tov. Beisilo holds of muktzah, so you have to have the spade in there. Of course, the spade that's associated with the earth that you need to cover the blood, that's pre-designation, right? So that's you've prepared it. But again, it still has to be granulated, because even though you've prepared it, but factually you're not permitted to pulverize it. Okay, what? Then the Mishnah says, She'efa kira muchanu. We speak about the earth and the ground with the Decca notes. Then it says, Efa kira muchanu. What is the ash of the oven? That's considered prepared. How does that come into the picture?
You put the egg in the ash. You would think you could put the egg in the ash.
No.
It's prepared. The ash is there.
This has associated with Kishi Adam.
Right.
So what is it with the egg?
Because they say, well, it just as I could take the sand out, so if that was prepared, so the embers and everything inside the funner was also prepared. So I could put the egg in there.
But using the ash for Kishi Adam.
Well, yeah,
Egg, we're not talking about eggs. We're not talking about eggs.
But they're saying it's prepared. It's just prepared.
Yeah, but what is it? If you have a spade, you could cover the blood. And the reason is because the ash is prepared. What does the ash have to do with earth? The Mishnah, the Mishnah doesn't read well. Who's talking about Efa Kira? The Mishnah is not talking about ash in an oven. We're talking about sand in the earth, in the ground.
Because if you got sand in an oven, it's also good.
No, we're not talking about an oven.
I
We're
know,
talking
I
about you have
know.
a pit
I
with
know.
beach sand.
Right.
It has no relevance.
Right.
We say,
Okay.
the reason why you permit Sheva Kira Muchanu. Somewhere say Efa Kira Mandakar Shmei. Who's discussing this? There's no Omar Rab Hoching Omar. Efa Kira Muchanu. Efa Kira is Muchan. Meaning, however, if you have ash in an oven, you could use the ash in the oven to cover the blood also. Because that's considered Muchan. It's not called Muktzah. Okay? We'll see Tosas.
If it was burned before.
Well, no, Tosas discusses it.
So what?
Tosas discusses it, even though it's no lot. That's the problem. If it's already spent ash from before Yom Tov, it's understood. So evidently it was spent on Yom Tov. So Tosas says it's no lot. We'll see Tosas. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rabba Hokem, Eifkir Muchen, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Lo Shanel Shusak Merav Yom Tov. That's what he says. It's only if it was already spent from before Yom Tov. Avod Husak be Yom Tov, also. Right? If it was spent on Yom Tov, if it was wood before, it's no lad. Vim Royal, it's Los Bobeyo. See, Howard's always 3 steps ahead of us. Vim Royal, it's Los Bobeyo. Let's say there are embers in the ash. And so therefore the embers have the status of what? Of wood, which was prepared. It still functions as firewood, mutter. So therefore we say the ash is considered secondary to the embers. So the ash doesn't have its own identity.
Not yet.
No, so therefore it's not nolad. You use it if it has. The whole issue is, let's say it's totally spent. It doesn't have any fire cooking value any longer. So it's a new entity.
Right.
But let's say there's still embers in there that you could. So then, even though it's ash, there's ash mixed in with it. We see the whole entity as what? As cooking material.
Right.
So that's prepared. Tanya Nami Hochi. We have a brayso that supports this interpretation. When do we say you're permitted to use the ash? That's only if the ash was spent before Yom Tov. Otherwise, it's no lot. But if it was spent on Yom Tov, also. However, but let's say the ash still has embers in it, sufficient embers that you're able to cook an egg, mutter. You're permitted. Rashi. Whatever you need it for. Can't say died because it didn't exist. Well, I thought it was. I had my mind it's going to be. It's irrelevant. It didn't exist. It's already hot. It's still hot. It was originally designated either for heating, cooking, or broiling. And since it's still within that function, since you could use this to turn over an egg for cooking or broiling, so you could take the same ash, which you could broil the egg and put it on the blood. because it's still within the original designation of its function. Well, Tosis will see. Definitely. Anything's gedulei karka, you can use for kisei adam. That's Tosis discusses here. That you can use anything that grows from the ground, you can use for kisei adam. Decomposed vegetation, you can use for kisei adam. Let's take a look at Tosis. Speaks about it. You cannot use ash. Bisham says you cannot use ash. The efer lo mikri offer. It says offer. Vechi komer hocha the efer buchanu lasus kisu l'kuli alma. Seemingly over here nobody argues. If Bishami agrees that you use ash, even though Chulin says you can't use, they will concur on this. Even Bishami says Chulin that you need earth and not ash. And here Beishamai says that you could use ash. So the Tosing's in the fair. What if you have a garment? Then you incinerate it. You have ash. That ash is not gedulei karka. Doesn't come. It's not vegetation, right? So therefore, that ash you can't use. That ash is not. If that's what Beishamai says, that ash doesn't qualify. But let's say I take wood and turn it into ashes, into carbon. Beishamai says that because since that is a derivative of what? Of gedulei karka, something grows from the ground, it's fine. That's like offer. Anything that comes from the ground is offer.
But what the clothing, if it was not synthetic?
Wool.
Cotton.
No, cotton is not something else. If it's a wool garment, wool garment comes from a sheep. Right? We'll say, show me the mills of the hocha ba'apin nafshkamar. Rabba kloma ve'efa kira muchanu linyitilto shadvorim kol chasbo tzach leotz ba'avo lokoya kish leil. First thing he says, no. When the Mishnah concludes Efa Kira Buchon, it has nothing to do with Kisei Adam necessarily. It's not going on previous to Beishamai. It means ash you can use for whatever you want, but it's not going by Beishamai. It means even to cover something of uncleanliness. That's Beishamai. Inami Yishlom Adosamar Be'efer Ochlin. You hear this? Over there it's speaking about ash that's from, he says, from food, from a food item. So if it doesn't, it's from a food item, you can't grow in it. Avol hochamar be'efer eitzim, the megadol smochim. You hear this? He says in the French, it's not exactly as I said. Food that's burnt, you cannot grow in that ash. But something that's wood that's burnt, you could grow. Something will grow from that. Yeah. Avol pi lo mikri offer mechasimo the comment dover megadol smochim. He says, if it's called offer, even if you can't grow in it, and if it's called, if you can grow in it, that's sufficient. Either one. Offer means earth. The Tanya, person's in the desert, he doesn't have earth. But he's in earth. In the desert, he doesn't have earth to cover with it. So sand is earth. No, that's called. It's called earth. That's called earth. Right? Shochik dinar zov umchasabo. You take a gold coin and you grind it, you file it down, and you can use that to cover. Because more over there quotes a pasuk. It's called afros zov. What quotes a pasuk? Zov is called offer. No, gold is called offer. So Beishamai says you could take a gold coin, file it down into dust, and then you cover with the gold dust.
Why is that better than sand? Sand is silicon. Why is that different? Silicon is different from gold.
Doesn't have to be, we're not talking about you have sand dunes in the desert. It doesn't have to be that kind of desert.
What do you got there?
Yeah, but it's like stone.
All stone?
Stone. You can't even penetrate the floor.
There's no dirt in
You hear this? If you're going in a boat, you take your garment, you burn it. The mikri option never local the tami be after service or kach sore for el dinozov minod shani because afro zovlo quotes a posuk. Gold that's turned into dust is called afros. Al koch afro zov shrifas talus lo megadli tzmochim. Neither you can't. Kachuf hutzer paposlom the mikri offer. Chol dovish hagodl tzmochim because something that you could grow in it. Marbinan hosem krov v'chisohu. Avagav lo ikri offer going to sorish charoshim, sawdust. You want to use sawdust to cover blood. The dako unorish shel pishton, or the non-essential of a flax plant. Shchigas klimatris kein efer akira v'chol adak dor shel pishton v'sid u'megufa mutal chasos, because since something will grow in it, that's sufficient. Even Beishamai would agree.
Sawdust is okay.
Sawdust is okay, even according to Beishamai.
That's what we saw them use.
Yeah, in all slaughterhouses they use
Only
sawdust.
Sawdust, they don't use dirt.
You ever see what they use? They have a gun, like a sawdust, and they first cover the floor, press a gun like an air gun,
Right.
shoots out, covers the area maybe 100 feet by 100 feet, and then they slaughter, and then they take the gun again, and when they're finished, they just cover over the blood again. They have the undercoating and they have an overcoating of sawdust. Then they just sweep it down into wherever they sweep it
The other
into.
day, the chauffeur put his hand in a bag of sawdust, threw it on the floor.
Today, that's primitive compared to what they do today.
In the good old days.
Good old days, yeah. That's why they chew tobacco. When they slaughter it. Okay. Omer Rav Yehuda. Before Omer Rav Yehuda, Omer Rav. Omer Rav Yehuda, Machlus Odom Molik Kuposa Offer, Vosabok Tzorcho. Person takes a box of earth. Earth is normally muktzah. And he brings in a box of earth and he can use it for whatever he wants. Because bringing it in the box, that's designating. It's designating to cover anything which is, let's say, uncleanliness. Dorsh Marzutra Shmei Marzutra Rabo. So Marzutra had lectured the name of Marzutra Rabo. Ushichad Okeren Zovis. You can't. Let's say you take that earth and spread it over the floor. Then it's bottled to the floor. So what he leaves, he designates a corner. He has a pile of earth there. So even though he took it out of the box, but since originally he designated for that usage, Meisveg, we learned in the Brayso, Koye Shochno Subiyomtiv. You have a question, we'll see, a koye is an animal, which is a question of whether it needs kisei adam or not. There's a question whether it's domesticated or undomesticated. So the halacha is you're not permitted to slaughter on Yom Tiv. And if you did slaughter it, you're not permitted to cover its blood. So the question is, what's the problem? Pre-designate earth, right? What's the whole issue? It's not the act of covering, it's because you're engaging in muktzah, right? So if that's the reason, slaughter it, and you have pre-designated earth and cover its blood. He says without Revuda. Ask the question. We said if you have a deck of notes, even Beis Hillel agrees, right? And if you have Efakir also agrees. So if that's the case, Leslie. So what are you going to answer me? He has nothing pre-designated, prepared. So Smor says, so what do we have to talk about a koi? Where it's a question, right? A regular chayo. Beis Hillel says if you don't prepare anything, you're not permitted. So he says, lo mi boy, vadai, lo lishchot. If an animal, you definitely have an obligation to slaughter, to cover its blood. That's why Beis Hillel says, lo lishchot. Avul sofek, but if we are sofek, emos, simchas yomtiv, mishum simchas lishchot, lo lechasyo. Since there's a chance that you have no obligation to cover its blood, maybe for the sake of simchas yomtiv, that should be the overriding factor, and slaughter it without kisei adam. If it's a definite obligation, you have no right to enter into that situation. But over here, where it's questionable, maybe for simchas yomtiv, you can't. Kamashma, no. That since factually it's a sofik doraisa that you have a chiyuv to cover its blood, simchas yomtiv is not an overriding factor. We don't differentiate between whether you definitely have an obligation or even it's a questionable obligation. We don't allow it.
It seems that it would have been more lenient because it's a suffix.
But the Kamashmalan, it's not.
It's not.
So, I mean, it's a Torah It's a Torah right? If we hold what the Gemara knows, Sofek Deraisa L'Chumra. The Torah says, in a state of Sofek, you have to be Machmir. So what's the difference to make if it's a definite obligation or not a definite obligation? If Simchas Yom Tov is not an overriding factor where you definitely have an obligation, why should it be? We have a Sofek. Torah says you must cover its blood when you don't know.
Rabbi, are we talking about preparing a mitzvah or not preparing for the mitzvah?
There's none of preparation for the mitzvah.
Well,
we're speaking now the man didn't prepare. We're speaking, he has no earth prepared.
But what's the mitzvah? The mitzvah is doing the
No, covering the blood. Covering the blood. Shechting is not a mitzvah.
Well, he's shechting in order to do the mitzvah.
No, he's not shechting order. He's shechting to eat the meat.
Right, but...
Now that you have blood, you got to cover its blood.
So you're shechting, okay, it allows you to do the mitzvah of...
No, it creates
covering.
the setting that you have an obligation to do the mitzvah. It creates the setting that you're obligated.
So is that a good place to be in? That's the question, right?
Where was that a good
correct?
place to be? But you're not going to be able to address your obligation
Right.
because you didn't prepare any earth or ash.
So the preparation is not there.
That was
Absolutely
speaking.
not there.
He didn't prepare.
Same is true if it were a bahima, if it were anything else.
No, an animal, you don't have to cover its blood, a regular bain.
Oh, okay.
There's only chayin off, a bird and so the only questionable animal we have is the koi.
Right.
They call it a buffalo. A buffalo is this type of animal. It's a question whether it's domesticated or undomesticated. We're talking about the species. No, you could do the eat the meat. But do we allow you to slaughter it where you're going to be mevatel a mitzvah? That's the question. Does Simchas Yom Tov an overriding factor or not?
You see one coming at you. It's not
Sure.
domesticated.
But at nighttime, it's going to be dried up, the blood. There's not going to be blood. Once the blood dries, you can't. It has to be wet.
It's really quick.
Once it coagulates, it's over. Can't cover it any longer. Okay? That's the chiddush. Even though it's a suffix, we don't differentiate suffix and varei. The question is the havmin. The havmin is a tzarech. The only way I could hear the havmina, is this question. It's not simple. But the Rambam sheet is the Rambam's position is suffix raisa is lakula chum d'rabbanan. That's the Rambam's position. Everybody holds whenever you're in doubt regarding a Torah question, you have to deal with it stringently on a Torah level. Ram says no, on Torah level you deal with it lenient. Rabbinically, you have to be machmir. By Drabanan, we say Sav Drabanan L'Kula. The Raisa, on the Torah level, it's L'Kula, rabbinically L'Chumra. So therefore, then the Gemara reads well, right? If it's, you definitely have an obligation, we tell you not to slaughter, because in actuality, you have to fulfill the mitzvah of Kisui. You're creating a setting where you're not going to be able to do the mitzvah. We don't want to enter. But over here, where it's a sofeg, and at most, the obligation is only rabbinical in the suffix setting, so maybe Simchas Yom should be an overriding factor. Kamash Mala, no, that even though it's rabbinical, we don't differentiate, and we say you still shouldn't slaughter. According to Rabbah, according to the other Shem Tzavah Deraisa, what's the reason? Why should I differentiate? On a Torah level, both, you have an obligation to cover the blood, whether it's misofek or it's mivarev. What difference does it make? Right, according to Rambam, but there's a famous Prima Godim that he says that by mitzvah's essay, even the Rambam agrees you go l'chumrah. It's only mitzvah's lo saseh. It makes a differentiate between a mitzvah's essay, positive commandment, negative commandment. Negative commandment, it's l'chumrah b'drabanan. Mitzvah's essay, it's l'chumrah, it's midoraisa, it's l'chumrah. So if that's the case, the Gemara is difficult even according to Rambam, according to Prima Godim. He doesn't say anything over there in your... what? No, there it's Shemi Yovalachlo. No. Why are you doing the Bedika? Because we're concerned if you find it, you may eat it. Right? That's the issue over there. You may eat it. So nothing respects. Nothing respects. Factually, you may come upon chametz. You may eat the chametz. That's the reason why you have to be voting. According to most Rishonim, according to Tosus, all the other Rishonim. Rashi learns differently. Rambam is a minority of a minority opinion. Everybody agrees. Whenever you're in doubt, you go l'chumrah on the Torah level. Right.
But he also still says on the l'chumrah on the assays.
You mean the Rambam?
Yeah.
Well, right. So then the Gemara is difficult even according to Rambam.
Yeah.
Well, he brings that on the bottom?
No.
Okay, let's go further. because that we discussed earlier, that we're going now, the Gemara is going to discuss that, your question right over here. We have a principle, asay docha los asay. That's only, firstly, it has to be simultaneous. So if I have to first dig the hole, then cover the blood, it's not going to help me. Right? Because you have to, it's only while you're violating the negative, you perform the positive. But you can't. Well, one can't precede the other. They have to, like for instance, what do we learn? The principle of Asay docha los asay from Klein Betzitzis. Right? You have a linen garment, woolen tzitzis. So there, as when you're wearing the garment, you're in violation of Shabbos. Not permitted, but simultaneously at that same moment, you're fulfilling mitzvah of tzitzis. So one doesn't precede the other. Here, if I first have to granulate the blood, the earth, and then cover it. So what? Once I have to be in violation of the lo saseh before I do the mitzvah saseh. So Mari asks a question. We'll see. So take the clump of earth and just granulate it over the earth, over the blood. So it's simultaneous. That's called simultaneous. So Mari explains because Yom Tov is a lo saseh baseh. It's a negative and a positive commandment, Yom Tov. Because it says lo saschu melocha, and then it says tishbos. You should refrain from melocha. So you have a negative and a positive. So asay is docha when a lo saseh when it's independent by itself. But if it's accompanied with an asay, then the asay doesn't override it, doesn't supersede it. We'll see in a minute. So Mari asks, "Well, Matani Seifo v'im shochtom ein mechasne is domo." It says that if you slaughter the koi, you're not permitted to cover its blood. Regarding the koi, so mechlal the islay askinon. So evidently, what are we speaking? He has earth, right? He has earth. So if he has earth, so why doesn't he cover it? according to Rav Yehuda, he says if you designate earth, it's not muktzah, correct? So, and here it's clear. It says if you slaughter it, you don't cover its blood. So evidently, you have the means to cover. Still saying you shouldn't cover it. It's evidently because it's muktzah. Elo maraba efa kiro muchan levadai. Efa kiro, when the person has in mind, is a new chiddush. He only has in mind to use it for something that's definite. Yeah, that it's a definite need, not where it's a questionable need. That's the mind. No, whenever he has ash, spent ash in the oven, right? The spent ash in the oven, it's for what? For something which is a definite need, not a suffix need. So more what says? So therefore it's not enough for the kisui. I mean, it's difficult. You mean something the rice l'chum is not enough of a need. I have a koi. So even though in the halach, in the reality it's a suffix, but do I have a definite obligation to cover it? So what do you mean? If I have something unclean, I definitely want to cover it. If I have a definite chaya, I definitely want to cover it. But if it's a question, although my obligation is definite, for that I don't have in mind to cover it. No, over essay. We're saying within the context of muktzah, that in his mindset, that what he designated for, it's a definite. Yeah, it's a tzorchim. I mean, I never had pshat over here. We'll see. Elam Rabbis Efa Kira Buchan Levadai. The spent ash is considered prepared for a definite need. Ein Buchel is Sufik. The Sufik my time low. What's the reason why not? The Kovid Guma. What's the reason why? You make a whole Vadinamic Kovid Guma. So more says Elkid Rababo. So what are you going to tell me? It's Mloch. What did Rababa say? He's the one who said that it's Mloch Suchel Gufa, right? It's Yapotur, right? And this and Simchas Yom there's an overriding factor. So Elkid Rababo, Hanamik Rababa, Elo Sofik. My time Dilma Ovid Ksisha. What's my concern? If it's a Sofik, he may actually granulate it. If I allow Ofetichuach, what happens if he has a clump of earth? He may granulate it. So Nami Nixum Shisha. Same thing. Whatever's a problem by one is a problem by the other. Correct? Somewhere says, no. If he takes the clump and he granulates it, there's no problem because it's asay dochalos asay. There's asay of kisi adam, and it supersedes the los asay. Somewhere says, if you have a lesion on the foreskin, so therefore it's simultaneous inami sad mitzitzis. or the linen garment with wool and tzitzis. Why? Because the moment that he uproots the lav, he transgresses the lav, he's fulfilling the asay, they're simultaneous. But over here, lav, here when he's violating the los asay, when he's first granulating the earth, lo mukam asay, he's not fulfilling the mitzvahs asay, it's only afterwards he takes the earth that he granulates and he puts on the blood. Mar says, no, we can work it out simultaneously. That as he's granulating directly over the blood itself. Mar says, so, but still it's a problem. Yom Tov asay, velos asehu. Yom Tov is, we say asay docha los asay. The examples we gave for kilayim mitzitzis. Right there, as you violated los asay, you fulfill the mitzvahs asay. But over here, even when you granulate directly over the blood, you're in violation of los asay and an asay. Vein asay docha los asay, and an asay cannot supersede a los asay and an asay. So getting back to square one. Why do we say that it's muchan levadai, not muchan l'sofik? Elo marova, so Rabbi says the pshat. Elo marova, evakiru dato levadai, vidoto l'sofik. Yeah, his mindset is a definite need and not a questionable need. So it's archian. What do we have? A definite need. He knows he's going to slaughter a koi tomorrow. Right? This questionable animal, whether its classification is domestic or undomesticated. He knows the Torah demands he covers its blood. But he doesn't have in mind that what for a questionable need. What do you mean he doesn't have? He knows he has a Torah obligation to cover its blood. Goes to Rav Latame, listen to the story. And you'll see, what we equate it to is difficult. Oz the Rav Latame, the Omer Rav, Hichnis Ofel L'chasas Botzo. Person goes and then prepares the earth to cover its uncleanliness. Feces, a child, you have a child there. And in the case the child dirties, you're going to have to cover its feces. You're permitted to take that to cover. Why? Dam tzibor osl chasas botzoa. You hear this? But if you designate it for dam tzibor, not so. Why? Because if you bring it into covered tzoa, the child may dirty, may not dirty. Right? There may be uncleanliness that has to be covered, but it may not be. If I have in mind tomorrow to slaughter a bird, correct? I definitely need to cover its blood. So if I designate it for covering its blood, you can't use it for tzoa. Of course, that's muchan levadai, it's not muchan lesofik. Right? His mindset was, I'm designated something which is a definite need. But tzoa, which is questionable, if the child doesn't dirty the courtyard, he doesn't have to cover any uncleanliness. That even if he brings in, he designates it to cover the bird, which is a definite need, so what's the argument? The question is, to what degree do you have to have designation? Does that have to be very specific? Or even, as long as it's prepared, once it's prepared, you can use it for anything you want, even for a questionable need. It may present itself, okay? So the first opinion is, Rava, no. It's muchan levadai. If you prepared something which is a definite need, you can't use it for a questionable need. Now, Rabbi says, no, once it's prepared for a need, you can use anything you want. Amri b'marava, they said in Eretz Yisrael, pligibo Rav Yosef, Bar Choma, Reb Zera. This issue is a machlok Rav Yosef, Bar Choma, Reb Zera, Amri lo, Rava breder Rav Yosef, Bar Choma, Reb Zera, Charomar, Koi Harei Kutzoa. One of them said that the koi, this questionable animal, whether it's undomesticated, is similar to tzoa. Yeah, even though it's not. Charova koi enu kutzoa. It's not kutzoa. You hear this? One says koi is like tzoa, and therefore you cannot cover its blood, although it was designated for covering the blood of a bird. And the other one says no, it's not like tzoa. 1 second. Yeah. See what he says? No, he says the koi l'gabe tzok kasofik l'gabe vadik. Hear this? That the likelihood of a child dirtying is greater than the need to cover its blood. I mean, if I designate it for covering a bird's blood, you can't use it for tzoa. Yeah? Because so it's question, the child may dirty, may not dirty. Relatively speaking, one's more definite than the other. What about it's designated to cover tzoa? But the likelihood of tzoa is greater than than the koi.
Right.
Not the bird, the koi.
You may or may not kill the bird.
No.
No.
We're talking about the koi.
I mean, not the koi.
The koi is a 50-50. Maybe yes, maybe no. The likelihood of, no, see, he says the likelihood of child, it probably will dirty.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So the need for it is greater than the koi.
Right.
No, he's Meshech the koi. But since one is a 50-50, but that's my original question. Either way, I have to cover its blood. What difference does it make? It's a Sofi Derais L'Chumra, right? In the way, it's the equivalent of Dam Tzipor. Torah says you have to cover its blood. That's what's the Torah. The whole Gemara over here.
You're saying that the earth that you prepared now has been taken up by the need to cover the child's feces. The probability
is greater there. But let me ask you, I decide tomorrow I'm slaughtering this buffalo. Does the Torah say you must cover its blood?
Yeah.
Even though it's a suffix, Torah says you have to cover its blood. That's my difficulty.
Yeah.
So therefore, in a way, the need is greater than the case of the feces.
But if you slaughtered it, you didn't have to slaughter it.
I know, but I want to slaughter it. I want to slaughter it. The whole issue is muktzah, designation.
But
I want to.
But you don't have anything designated to cover it now.
But I designated it for whatever the need may be.
But now you got a more pressing need.
What is it? Not more pressing. The need
It's
for
more likely need.
the buffalo is more. No.
The kid's feces is more likely.
Is more likely just in the reality.
Right.
But over here, if I want to slaughter the animal, it's a definite need. It's definite. What's holding me back?
Only when you slaughter.
Because I don't have earth.
Only when you slaughter.
But what's holding me back?
You don't have earth.
But let's say if it would have earth, it's not. If I would designate earth for the koi, would it be a problem? No.
No.
It's because it was designated for tzoa. It was designated for tzoa. But again,
How specific?
but if you designate for tzoa for the bird, you definitely could use it.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because the bird is a definite obligation to cover. The koi, on a Torah level, is the same definite obligation, although it's a suffix. Because Torah says if you slaughter a koi, you definitely have to cover its blood, whether you like it or not, once you slaughter it. It's the same thing once you slaughter a bird. Let me ask you, a bird and feces. If you decide to slaughter the bird, you got to cover its blood.
Right.
But what's the greater likelihood in terms of here, you don't have to do anything. The likelihood is going to dirty the courtyard.
Right.
But the bird, you got to slaughter it. So don't slaughter it. Right? We don't make such a differentiation. So you see, we're talking about post facto, you did slaughter it.
Right.
So if that's the case, even though on a Torah level it's a suffix, but factually you have to deal with it like it's a definite obligation.
It now has occurred.
It has occurred.
It's occurred.
That's the difficulty. Okay, I'm not answering that. Maybe he deals with in one of these commentaries, in one of the translations. I know, Rashi says that. Yeah. But for a bird you could use it, right? No, that's chlor. Rashi says it speaks it out before-ish. For a tzipor, there's no question you could use it. I know.
They could use it.
So good, here it's also in real. Let's say guy's not more, it's gomer. Man's not more, it knows nothing. The rabbi told when you slaughter the buffalo, you must cover its blood. That's what he told him. He gets into the lumdus, that's the suffix, this. You have to cover its blood. So then the bird and the buffalo is the same thing.
But with the bird, if you decide that you're going to, you can't use it for the child if you've designated it for the
bird.
For the bird, because there you go.
No, that I hear.
Okay.
Because the likelihood of the child dirtying is not the same level as covering the blood of the bird.
Because you know you're going to slaughter that bird.
You know you're going to slaughter the blood. See, knowing is like it's done.
But the koi...
I know I'm going to slaughter a koi.
You also
But
know
since
that
the obligation is only a suffix, so what? But the Torah says you have to cover its blood. Difficult. Okay? So Mora says, Tistayim, we're going to bring proof. Where's this? The Rav who the Oma Koi Arikut Tzoa. Rav is of the opinion that the Koi is like the Tzoa. Which means you can. The Oma Rav Hichnis Ofel Chasab Tzoa. Rav is speaking. Person designate earth to cover uncleanness. Mutal Chasab Tzoa Dam Tzipor. You could cover, definitely, the blood of a bird, which is definitely obligation. Dam Tzipor, Ost Chasab Tzoa. But if it's dam tzipor, you're not permitted to cover it so, because it's vadai. It's times. It's a proof. One second. Rami Breder he goes takes a whole different route. You know why you're not permitted to cover the blood of a koi? Now, what's the halacha on the Torah level? The chaylev of a behemoth, of a domesticated animal, on the Torah level, you're not permitted to eat its chaylev. Chayo, like a deer, you're permitted to eat its chaylev. So what happens if you cover the blood of the buffalo? What are people going to say? It's like a deer. So people permit you to eat the chaylev, right? But it's not. It's a suffix. You're only covering it l'chumrah, right? It's only because you don't know. It may be undomesticated. When it comes to eat its fat, the non-kosher fat. The non-kosher fat is what? It's chaylev. So gzeiro, yeah. Rami Breder Rebbe Omar koi hainu time lo b'chis gzeiro mishum hatoras chelbo. He may come to permit its chaylev. Someone says, "Yihoche afilu b'chol nami." During the week. We should never allow you to cover its blood. We would never allow you to slaughter it. Because the moment people see you covering its blood, they say, this is domesticated, undomesticated. Amri, during the week, you know what they sell? They say, he's only doing to clean up. He's not doing, when he covers the blood, it's only to clean up the mess. He's not doing it for the sake of the mitzvah. Because he's not saying a bracha. He's not saying a bracha in either case. Right? Somebody says, see, that's a little difficult. We rule halacha. You don't say a bracha. The Ravid sheet is, and Rabbi Yehuda the sheet is, that on a suffix, you say a bracha, so if the rice in the kumah. So if that's the case, he's only doing to clean up his courtyard. So what do you say a bracha? Right? So that evidently it's undomesticated. According to Rambam, it's not difficult. So what about if he slaughtered it in an area which is where they discard? It's a dump. So if it's the place where they leave all the refuse. People are not going to say he's cleaning up there. Right. So why is he covering the blood? Right? What about if he comes to consult and they say you have to cover the blood? So they say so what is the person going to think? It's like a chayo, el b'chol, right? Inami misafko, misveik amr the rabban zil trach v'chasui. They say even if somebody say go take. To make an effort. It's an effort. It's an unnecessary effort. Yeah, what I mean. There's a mitzvah d'oraisa. But we're not going to burden you to do a physical act which is effort unless it's a definite obligation. Yeah. There's a chance that the tircha you're doing may be not a tircha of mitzvah. Okay, we'll stop here.